potentials. So thanks a lot for the patience and for listening. Guess we're at the end of this talk. We have about 5 minutes left. If there are any questions from all those topics or whatever you always wanted to know, I guess that's about the time to ask. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Make sure you can all be applauding yourselves next year for not being on that list. So, any questions? Yes, Jeremy.
Hello. First of all, I want to tell you how much I admire you. You're my heroes.
The project, please.
So I'm Jeremy Zimmerman. I'm co-founder of La Quadrature du Net. And I don't say this because we, as activists, make the same kind of calls very often. But you're here calling people to become heroes and participate to your ongoing courageous effort. What I want to do for everybody who doesn't want to become a hero or may think he doesn't have time or something like this, you can also use your money to support. I gave a few euros. I gave a few euros to WikiLeaks. I gave a few euros to Wikipedia. I became a member of EFF and so on. And this is something you can do that is very easy and very, very helpful.
Thanks, German. Yes, thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Big respect to you guys, but this has become like a prayer meeting, so I really can't resist the urge to bring it down by asking you what I hope is a difficult question. I just wondered if you wanted to comment on your role in the release of the hacked emails of the UEA Climate Research Centre and the following misreporting by the media, which, as far as I've had the time to judge, was misreporting. Do you have any kind of philosophy there? I don't say you shouldn't have published them, but I wonder if you're philosophical about that now.
Absolutely. I wanted this to be one of the things on the list, but it would take too long to talk about. To give you some background for the people who weren't maybe not aware of the issue, the CRU is the climatic research unit in the UK at the University of East Anglia, and it has some of the most famous climate scientists in the world whose recommendations go into the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change. Okay, we released over 10 years worth of emails from the CRU and those climate scientists discussing, actually they specialize in temperature. So is the Earth getting warmer? Is it getting cooler? What are the models? What is the code? And the normal sort of debates that scientists have, political and scientific. Those emails revealed, amongst other things, that actually these scientists had been conspiring to evade the Freedom of Information Act in the UK because they were being FOI'd by climate skeptics. Evade in the sense of actually deleting stuff. And they had some other motivations, that some of the stuff was given to them in confidence and they wanted to preserve the confidence that they had agreed to and preserve the future relationships. But there's no doubt that there was a combined, it's in my career interest, it would be bad press, and I promised a company some years ago that we probably wouldn't do that. So the mainstream press, and in fact a lot of internet types in the United States, then went over that material, and yes, they did take some things out of context. So one climate scientist was speaking to another saying, here's a mathematical trick that we use to, etc. And so those of you involved in maths, you will know that trick just means a cool technique. It doesn't mean anything mendacious. So you're saying maybe we shouldn't have released it. Of course, our promise to our sources is get it to us if it was withheld from the public and it's of significance, we will release it. That is our promise. It doesn't matter what we think. So we had no choice to release it whatsoever. Then there is the general philosophical principle of, actually, this is a great historical document. It's a really very, very interesting historical document in how did, over the past 10 years, global warming, how did that become an issue? What were the debates between scientists? It's a really, really important historical document. And later on, the UK, the UK papers, which have close involvements with British intelligence, lots of journalists have come out and say how they have secret briefings from British intelligence and that they do each other favours, etc., said that we received this stuff from the FSB. Just 3 days they said this before the Copenhagen conference. So my opinion is that probably, not certainly, maybe the papers did it by themselves, but probably UK intelligence tried to frame us as being a conduit for the FSB because actually they didn't like the truth of what was in those emails. Absolutely outrageous.
And one detail as well, just because the effect, which is very important. When this was published, at some point in time the CRU proclaimed that they are misrepresented by this selection of information and that they will see into publicating the rest of the material that they have to correct the picture. So this is essentially something that needs to be triggered by something like this. Yes. This is the most positive effect you can have from such a publication, is that someone says, this is not the full picture, so I'll give you everything that I kept secret before, but I'll publish it now just to make sure that the picture is full and correct.
Yeah. So what we want people to do is fight with the truth. If people shoot truth at each other, then after the bodies are cleared away, all that remains is the bullets of truth in the historical record, and then we can get somewhere.
Thank you very much. It's honesty and thoughtfulness like that which will definitely be seeing me trying to get off your list next year. Thank you.
Thanks. Just have one more question, there's not too much time left. Hi.
I have a short question. How
Yes.
do you protect the sources? For example, if I would get hold of a secret document, the document could have some steganographic means, for example, page break, for example, wording, so one can track that this document was delivered to me, not to somebody else, and maybe then black limousines come to my house and I would be put somewhere, I do not know.
Yeah,
and so how do you protect the sources?
So your question is quite important and interesting. So the first grounds is to understand that there's a difference between what happens and what is possible.
But everything that is possible will happen to someone.
I will get to that. But you know, you will lose 2% of your life this year, probably more, actually, guaranteed, 100%. So let's not be too concerned with things that don't tend to happen in practice. That said, we have lost no sources at all, whatsoever, in any way, internal investigations, stenography, etc. We do try and remove a whole bunch of different things. We reprocess PDFs, we recompile them, etc. But yes, things may get through. You don't need to go to this complex level that you're talking about. All you need to do is just change 1 or 2 words in a document. It's quite easy. Just change 1 or 2 words. However, if you've got someone who has to have given you that document individually, a document just for you, that's a really big logistical overhead inside an organization. They have to have already suspected you or someone in a group, and then they have to have compiled different versions of a document for everyone in this group. That doesn't tend to happen in practice, and if you suspect that maybe something like that is happening, well, you just take your colleague's document and you leak that.
Okay. But sometimes, if people are working maybe on projects for government or some stuff, then there's a strict policy who gets which documents and who signs for which documents and stuff like that. And so every document that is given to somebody is tracked, so you know who gets which document and stuff like that.
For very few organizations that are publishing classified information, we know about some of these techniques, and we're taking care that these mechanisms have no effect. So, and up until now this has worked. There are many ways how you can make sure that a document